In a stroke of the pen, NASA is authorized to begin plans for a return mission to the moon.
The United States is headed on a path to finally return to the moon. When Gene Cernan, the last Apollo astronaut to walk on the moon in 1972, said, "We shall return." First and foremost, what NASA wants to do is build a more permanent presence there.
The project will be called Artemis, named after the goddess of the moon in Greek mythology. Not so coincidentally, Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo.
Apollo went to the equatorial regions of the moon. And now what NASA wants to do is to go to the south pole of the moon. Why? There's water in the form of ice, oxygen to breathe, and water to drink. But the hydrogen and oxygen found in water can also be used as rocket fuel that allows those deeper trips into space.
Given the enormity of the project, NASA announces 18 astronauts for the mission team. Of these 18, 4 will fly in Artemis 2 and 4 in Artemis 3. Among the 18 astronauts are 9 women. One of them will be the first woman to walk on the moon. The women are Kayla Barron, a submarine warfare officer and a scholar with a master's in nuclear engineering. Christina Cook, BS in electrical engineering and physics. She spent a year in Antarctica doing field research. Nicole Mann. She led the astronaut corps in the development of the Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System. Anne McLean, helicopter pilot. She served 15 months in Operation Iraqi Freedom, flying more than 800 combat hours. Jessica Meir, class of 2013, conducted the first 3 all-woman spacewalks with crewmate Christina Cook.
I'm right behind you. All right.
Jasmine McBelly, BS in Aerospace Engineering from MIT. She has accumulated more than 150 combat missions with the Marine Corps. Kate Rubens, BS degree in molecular biology and a doctorate in cancer biology from Stanford University Medical School. She has logged 300 days in space and conducted 4 spacewalks. Jessica Watkins, BS in Geological and Environmental Sciences from Stanford University, along with a doctorate in geology from the University of California. Also a USA Rugby Collegiate All-American. Stephanie Wilson, BS in Engineering Science from Harvard University, and a Master's in Aerospace Engineering. Wilson has logged more than 42 days in space over the course of 3 spaceflights. These astronauts are the best and brightest on the planet. The last first of this magnitude was in 1969 for Apollo 11. Back then, NASA was faced with who would be the first man to walk on the moon. And they chose Neil Armstrong. Over 50 years later, these same calculations will be made, this time involving the first woman to walk on the moon. She will be an historic world figure and icon to many. But first, there is much work to get Artemis in motion.
And here we go.
On November 16, 2022, the SLS carrying the Orion spacecraft embarks for the moon.
And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
It is a test of the Orion capsule in deep space, and it also has another important objective.
The Artemis 1 mission was also testing the heat shield component of Orion. That is what protects the rest of the craft from the intense, extreme heat that it will experience during re-entry to Earth.
9 hours after liftoff, the first glimpse of planet Earth is seen.
And you're seeing there on your screen our first Earth views. This view of Earth captured from a human-rated spacecraft not seen since 1972 during the final Apollo mission some 50 years ago.
Day 6, the Orion spacecraft passes 81 miles, or 130 kilometers, above the surface of the moon, the closest it will get. The mission continues to proceed as we had planned, says Mike Serafin, Artemis 1 mission manager. In 4 days, the spacecraft will enter what's called distant retrograde orbit, which will take it even farther away from both the moon and the Earth.
Commands were sent for the outbound powered flyby burn to occur, which sends Orion close enough to the lunar surface to leverage the moon's gravitational force and swing the spacecraft once around the moon toward entry into distant retrograde orbit, which will last about 6 days.
From inside Orion, you can see what appears to be an astronaut sitting at the console. It is a mannequin. There are actually 3 of them on board, and they have special equipment designed to test the effects of radiation.
We're going to be about 38,000 miles away from the lunar surface as we orbit around.
On day 20, it will begin preparations to return home.
From this view, Orion is 1,277 miles above the lunar surface following its return-powered flyby burn, which sent it around the backside of the moon. Orion now has its sights set on home. And that small sliver towards the bottom of your screen, that's here, that's home, that's us. And that is where Orion is headed next.
Orion closing in on planet Earth, now about 11,000 miles away from Earth, as it continues a very, very precise trajectory.
Finally, on day 26 of this amazing journey, the spacecraft disengages from its service module and prepares to land in the Pacific Ocean.
Flight Dynamics reports that Orion is right on the money. And there it is, high over the Pacific, America's new ticket to ride to the moon and beyond now in view. Orion under its chutes, descending towards splashdown. Splashdown. Orion, back on Earth.
The mission is a success. It traveled more than 1.4 million miles, or 2.2 million kilometers, on a path around the moon and return safely to Earth. Orion performed 2 lunar flybys, coming within 80 miles, or 130 kilometers, of the lunar surface. Orion traveled nearly 270,000 miles, or 430,000 kilometers, from our home planet. While in a distant lunar orbit, Orion surpassed the record for distance traveled by a spacecraft designed to carry humans, previously set during Apollo 13. There is one takeaway that NASA will have to improve upon in future missions.
It turns out that the heat shield did not perform quite as well as they had initially thought, and they are figuring out why exactly that happened, exactly how well it did hold up. But it is still labeled as a successful mission.
Humanity is now one step closer to landing and walking on the moon.